boys and girls. It is Wednesday, November 18th, and I am down in a spot that I haven't hunted. I used to hunt this place a lot, like all the time, and I kind of just gave it a break and started hunting different areas. So I haven't been down in here for a couple of years. But I'm down on the river. I'm in a kind of a low floodplain spot we call the Bowl, and there's a big river bank that comes down a couple hundred yards out from the edge of the river. It's like an 80-foot bank, and it kind of swings around in almost a half circle, and it kind of dead ends right here at the river, which makes kind of a pinch point. And the deer, when they get pressured, they like to come down in here and hide out. But I actually walked down this tote road downstream direction about a mile from the Jeep. Then I cut down in on the river and walked back up a few hundred yards. And the wind is coming out of the northwest, which is coming right down the river, right in my face. But I got down here. I don't know if you guys can really see it, but I'm sitting on this big bank right here. The river's off to my right. Down in front of me is just all wide open river bottom. But I got down here this morning, and I literally sat down and got my stuff put down. I was here for about 2 minutes, and I could hear something follow my tracks right in. I actually sprayed Tinks 69 on my boots before I left the Jeep. And I could hear something walking the same track that I came in on. And I thought it was a coyote because it sounded so quiet, but it got up here and started zigzagging back and forth about 30, maybe 40 yards in front of me, and I heard it start grunting. I don't know how big of a buck it was, but followed that Tink 69 scent right in. I'm surprised it didn't walk right over here, right up to me. It was too dark to shoot. I couldn't even see what it was, but it ended up milling around and then kind of turned around and walking back the way it came, downstream grunting. But this big bank is kind of a knoll behind me, and the wind's hitting me in the face, and it's kind of going around over to my left, and he came around the right side of this thing over by the river. So hopefully I'm going to stop rambling on here and hang out probably until I start freezing my butt off, and then I might get up and poke around. But I was going to bring my stand down in here today, but I didn't feel like carrying it a mile, and I figured I'd probably get cold and want to move around. So I'm going to shut up, and we're going to sit here, and I'm going to do a little bit of calling and hopefully maybe get that buck to come back. I don't know what it was, but I'm not being too picky these days. After this coming Saturday, I'm going to be shooting whatever brown it's down, so see what happens. Should be a good day. Yeah, this is a good spot. I just had those 3 doe come right down, and they were headed right for that funnel spot that I was talking about. And I think they must have caught a whiff of that Tinks that I had on my boots when I walked in, because that big doe that came in first, she stopped, kind of got sniffing around, and the other 2, they didn't really catch on until she looked at me and she knew something wasn't right. But Yeah, that happened quick. They came running. I don't know if something else jumped them or what, but they came running right down through. I didn't have hardly have time to get the camera on them. Hopefully I can get a buck to do that. Walk 15 yards in front of me like that. If that. That was like 10 yards. I was this close to shooting that doe, but I'm not quite there yet. I've still got a week and a half of rifle season, and then after that I have 2 weeks of expanded archery, so I'd really like to get a buck with my bow. But I do have a doe tag, so if it gets down to like the end of next week, those does will be dying. One of them will be anyway. But that's good. Got some movement this morning, that's for sure. It is the coldest day of the week, and the wind is supposed to blow pretty good today, which is why I decided to come down in here on the river. It's probably a lot less windy than it is up in the hills. But that was awesome. Alright guys, it's about 7 o'clock. Those does came in on me about probably half an hour almost ago. I was sitting, I ended up moving up the bank a little bit. Let's see if I can show you guys. I was sitting right down at the base of the hill by that birch. Just to kind of give you guys a better idea what I'm looking at. I'm sitting on this bank. The river is right down here. I don't know if you guys can see it. And this bank wraps around, and right here there's just a little pinch point where the deer can slip through if they don't want to climb up over this huge bank. Down in front of me, this is all just river bottom, kind of floodplain. It floods out in the springtime. And I don't know if you can really tell, but this bank behind me kind of wraps back around, and then it does like a big U-ey. It's kind of a half circle, and then it kind of dead ends out here by the river, and I'm kind of sitting on the very end of it. So when the deer come down along this flat, they pretty much have to squeeze right between this knoll that I'm sitting on and the river, which, as you can see from those does coming in, it works. It's about 8 o'clock, and as you can tell, probably the wind's picked up like it was supposed to. It's supposed to be 14 mile an hour winds today with like 22 mile an hour gusts. So definitely a good day to be on the ground walking around. But I'm starting to get a little bit chilly. So I think what I'm going to do is pack my stuff up and head probably downstream and check a couple more spots down on the river, kind of holes like this. Might just sneak up on the bank and sit. And maybe do some calling and see if I can get something, if they're bedded down on the river, see if I can get some of them to come up and walk up to the bottom of the bank. I might get a shot. But if that doesn't work, there's a brook run on the other side of the tote road that I walked down in here on. I might get on that and head upstream, which is north, right into the wind, so that'll be a good chance too. They like to hang out in that stuff because it's real thick hemlocks in there. But I think pretty much all the deer have been run out of here between those 3 does and that buck. I don't think he knew I was here, but he turned around and walked back downstream. I'm sure he's probably bedded down there somewhere, which is why I want to go check those spots out. But I'm going to pack this stuff up. If I do see something to shoot at, it's probably going to be hard for me to get it on camera unless I'm set up in a spot with the tripod and everything. Otherwise, I'm going to have my camera in my pocket. Unless there's like a stump or something to set the camera on, I won't be able to get any footage of it. But I'm going to get wrapped up and get moving before I start freezing. Well, I got out of there, and as I was wrapping my stuff up, I was folding my tripod up and broke the head right off it because it was so cold the plastic busted. So I'm going to have a hard time getting any footage today on tripod. Well, I went down on the river downstream and checked out those couple spots that I wanted to look at. I just got up on the bank and hit the can call a couple times and did some grunts. I couldn't get anything to come up to the bank, but I decided to come over across the other side of the tote road like I said I was going to. And I'm down on the brook run. I don't know if you guys can see, but the brook run is right down there. It's running that way. And it kind of comes down here and then circles around and crosses the tote road and hits the river. The brook runs into the river. But as soon as I got out here on the bank of the brook, I don't know if you guys can really see that. But that is a beaten deer trail. just like a rut going through the woods out here. And there's a good set of tracks going back upstream, north on it. I don't know how fresh they are. It's hard to tell in this mossy stuff, but I'm just going to poke down through here, head into the wind, and stop every once in a while and hit the grunt call maybe, and hopefully I can get a buck to come in close enough to give me a shot. But like I said, it's going to be hard to film because I'm on the ground and my tripod's broken, so but we'll see what happens. Oh baby, I just got done doing that last interview, standing right in the same spot. Well, pretty much. I walked, I don't know, 50 yards up this trail right here. I hit the grunt call a couple times and I could hear something. I couldn't tell where it was coming from. I thought it was over here, but it ended up coming, a nice 8-pointer just came right down the bank, walked literally 5 yards in front of me. I mean, he was 15 feet away from me, and I was all drawn up just about to shoot him, and he friggin' looked up and saw me and blew and turned, and right when he did, I let one rip, and I think I hit him good. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna give it a minute. I saw him kind of circle around and run up here about 40-50 yards in front of me, and I lost sight of him. But oh man, I hope I got that thing. That would be so awesome. Wind's blowing right in my face. He came right downwind of me, or right upwind of me, I mean. I think I can hear him thrashing around. I definitely hear something. Oh baby, I hope I just got it done. I swear to God, I have the worst luck. I was just gonna come over and look for blood and look for my arrow, and I found it. Right through the middle of that tree. I can't even believe this, man. I got the worst luck, I'm telling you what. I can't even believe that, dude. Split that tree right in half. Oh my God. It's funny, but it really isn't. I get a week and a half of rifle season. I just had a nice 8-pointer walk right up to me, and I shoot through a tree. Unbelievable. Oh man, I can't even believe that. Only I could have a buck come up broadside 15 feet in front of me and not hit it. The one tree in my way, I hit right in the center of that little 1-inch tree. Man, I can't believe it. It's almost funny, but it's not. I could just about cry right now. That wasn't a real big deer. It was a small 8-pointer, but I would have been ecstatic to shoot him. Especially in that situation. That was crazy. He came right up to me, 15 feet away before he saw me. Like I said, he turned and he blew and kind of turned away from me 180, and when he turned sideways, I let her rip right on his ribs, and I thought I had hit him, but I got started to walk over to look for blood, and I noticed this little tree with a rub on it. I got looking, and oh, there's my arrow stuck right through the middle of it. So I backed out. I grunted and snort wheezed at him after the last time I talked to the camera there, and thought I might be able to get him to come back because he didn't smell me. I think he just saw me because the wind was blowing right in my face, but I mean, he obviously knew I wasn't a deer. I backed out anyway out to the tote road here, and I'm going to walk up the tote road, and because he ran towards it, I'm going to see if he crossed it or if he might still be in that same little piece of woods. But I'm going to put the camera away so I can actually shoot at something if I see it. Hopefully I actually hit it this time. Unbelievable. Well, I made my way up through much crap on the lens. I guess just the sun shining. I made my way up along the river bottom there and stopped every once in a while and called here and there, but I didn't see anything. I think I'm going to get out of here and probably go hit a store and get something to eat and try to think of something else to do this afternoon. There's deer down in here, but I don't know where they are now. But I probably got another quarter mile to walk. I'm going to get out of here and try to think something else up, I guess. Still bummed out about missing that 8-point. Oh man, I'm walking through this big cutting, kind of following this brook. I just jumped 2 deer and got looking, and it was a doe taking off with a nice 8-pointer right on her butt. I tried to stop him, but they weren't stopping. But I'm gonna keep going here and see if I can get eyes on him again, because I'm sure he didn't care about me whatsoever. He was all about that doe. But I'm gonna put the camera away and see if I can get back on him. Well, I just walked over to where those deer were, and they were bedded down together is what it was. It was a buck and a doe. And I didn't see him until they were already taken off. I just caught a glimpse of the doe, and then I saw the 8-pointer following her, and by the time I saw that he had horns on him, I pulled my gun up, and he just ducked behind a root ball of a blowdown that they were laying next to. But I just followed their tracks, running through the leaves for about 200 yards, and they're headed off the property, so, and the sun just went down, so I'm going to get trekking out of here. I got probably a mile to walk through God knows what. But there's definitely some buck sign down in here. There's a nice rub right there, and there's a couple scrapes right over there. But of course the buck should be down in here because this is way down in the back piece of this property. So I am going to try to head back up through that cutting and not get myself into too much of a mess getting out of here. But I think that's probably going to wrap it up for today, unless I happen to see something on the way out to get a shot at. But I do still have probably half-hour of daylight, so it's going to take me at least that long to get out of here. I can't believe it. I just screwed up another shot. I was a full draw. That deer was about to walk right through that gap in the stone wall right in front of me. And I looked over and noticed the camera was turned the other direction. Who cares? So I went to turn it at full draw. When I went to let down, my arrow flew out of the rest. Scared the crap out of the deer, and he ran off. I got about 2 hours before work. I figured I'd come up the road here and sit in this corner of the stone wall because the deer like to cross the road and come through here. I've been here 15 minutes, and that buck come walking right in. I didn't know if he was going to go around the edge of the stone wall or through this gap, so I had the camera turned that way. I'm probably zoomed in. I had the camera turned over because in case he went around and they started to come through, I should have just shot him. I totally screwed that one up. Oh my God. Another nice 8-pointer. That's like, what, third, fourth deer in 2 days? Oh my God. Well, I guess I'm going to pack it up and go home. I got to go to work today, so I'd much rather be tracking blood right now. Squirrels. Well, after this morning's unfortunate turn of events, I decided instead of going to work, I'd come back out here and sit. I had a couple things to do at the house, so I got those done, and it's about 11:45 right now, so it's almost noontime. Last light is probably just before 5 o'clock, so I've got about 5 hours, and I am about 50, 60 yards down the hill from where I was sitting this morning on that stone wall. I'm kind of in a little I don't know, there's like 3 boulders here, and they kind of make a little pocket with a hemlock tree right in the middle of them. I'm sitting underneath. But I'll kind of show you guys that thick stuff is where I was sitting before, just on the other side of that, next to that stone wall crossing. And this is where that deer ran to. It was right out of that stuff and right down through this opening right here. And there's actually a tote road that goes along down into the woods, and down that way is that's where Jake shot his doe a few weeks ago there. So this tote road intersects with that other tote road, and that's basically where me and Jake were sitting the other day there a few weeks ago. But I've got some estrus scent hung out in the tree about 20 yards, 25 yards in front of me, so hopefully the wind's blowing around a little bit, so hopefully that buck will catch that scent and come back through here today. But this is a pretty heavily traveled little corridor anyway with does, so hopefully there's a good chance of him chasing something through here. But I'm going to hang out and see what happens, I guess. Well, I guess that's just about going to do it for today. Didn't see anything. A lot of squirrels. Been a rough couple days, but I guess that's bow hunting. Just gotta keep at it. But the rut action's picking up for sure. Deer definitely been moving a lot more. I went a couple weeks there without really seeing much. And in the last couple days I've seen all kinds of deer. So I think I'm probably gonna come back out here in the morning and sit. Not sure if I'm gonna work tomorrow or not, but stay tuned. It's bound to get better.